Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am blessed and honored to be here with my good friends, Chris Lagerman and Paul Boer from WHR Group. How you guys doing today?
Good, Ben. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm awesome. We're live. We're like live. We're like in real life, in person.
It's exciting.
It's great.
It's weird. It's really weird. We're all vaccinated. Just full disclosure, everybody's full vaxxed here, double dose. It's all good.
That's right, double dose.
But it's weird. I just took my first plane ride today to go see you guys in I did one from Michigan, but I mean, this is my first business thing.
Yeah.
And, since March of last year.
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarro.
It's great.
It feels really good.
Yeah.
You know what? When I was going through security, I was out of practice. I forgot my belt. I forgot my shoes. I'm all discombobulated. I was really slow.
It's not like riding a bike.
No, it's like if you fell off when you did it again. Hey everybody, thanks for being here today. Get in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are, what you're up to. Shout out your company. We got people checking in. This is awesome. Hit that like button. Give us a little round of applause. I need a little encouragement. This is my first time doing a live in person. Oh, get in here close. We're vaccinated, baby. Come on, bring it in. All right. We just got a frame. No. I take disproportionate amount of space. We got people checking in here. We got Valerie. Look, people together. Yay. Deluxe listening in. What's up, Val? We got Stacy in the house. Hi, Paul, Chris, and Ben. It's nice to see you all. What's up, Stacy?
Stacy.
Hey, has anybody out there taken any business trips yet? Let me know if you've taken one or what your first business trip's going to be. Let me know because it feels like we're back. What about you guys? Have you taken any business trips yet or what's your first going to be?
I have not taken a business trip yet, but I've taken pleasure trips. And,
okay.
I was on an airplane a month ago, and I was on an airplane earlier this year.
How did it feel?
Felt great.
Yeah.
Very safe. Everybody was masked up. I didn't have any qualms.
Felt like old hat, or was it like, wow, this is kind of it's been a while?
No, it was old hat.
Yeah.
It was old hat. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. And not only that, Ben just showed up here about 5 minutes ago, so this is really on the fly.
Super live, super spontaneous. Chris, what about you? Any trips in the future?
No trips yet, but I do have some vacations planned here in the future. So.
Oh, nice. Where are you going?
On Hawaii in July.
Nice. Hawaii in July.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Let's see. Anybody out there doing anything, going anywhere? I want to know. Wow, the comments are on fire. Let's see. Stacy Huff, super producer Stacy. Hi, Paul, Ben, and Chris. Excited to be for the in-person show. We're doing in-person shows all week this week. Assuming the guys that are taking it over on Wednesday don't let me down. We are going to do in-person. We're going to do Milwaukee today. We're going to do Chicago tomorrow. We're going to be in Dallas live on Thursday. So pretty stoked about this. Tim checking in. I am Western New York. Mike McGill. Hello, gents from Cleveland. Johanna Lindstrom coming in from Sweden. We all need to relearn the airport check-ins 100%. I'm not even kidding. I was next to a mom with a little girl and they beat me through security. I know. Checking in. This is great. Janet. Hey, gentlemen. Good to see you. Good to see you too, Janet. Miss you, Janet. Can't wait. I'm going to hopefully see Janet in Orlando next month. We're going down to plan the IAM conference. I never stopped traveling. Tim never stopped. Wow, aggressive. I like it. All right. Bev Bell checking in. Hi, Chris. This is great. Anthony, aloha, Ben. Anthony's out in Hawaii.
Oh.
You should go check him out. You
need some pointers.
You need a good agent out there. He's amazing. Good stuff. Christina Lee Caldwell. Look at this. I can't even see the script. I'm over here trying to read the comments. Does anybody have good eyes? Not me. Jana, what's up? The newest member of Glomo here. Jana Chezanowski. What's up, Jana? Oh, man. That's a whole nother conversation. This is great. We got people checking in left and right. Let's see. Where are people going? Anybody going anywhere? This is great. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about, keep those comments coming. Maybe Stacy, maybe you can help me out and throw some up here. And maybe if we have questions coming in that we need to answer, keep the questions coming in. Stacy, would you do me a favor and throw them up there if they're, yeah? Awesome. I want to talk a little bit about back to work. I'm sorry, not back to work. Back to office. I got dragged for that. online.
In person.
Yeah.
Right.
We've been working this whole time. I'm like, all right, fine, sorry. Back to the office. I got in here. I talked to the receptionist. She's awesome. She's like, we got some, things going on. We're doing like kind of alternating. What are you guys doing? What's your approach?
Well, when the pandemic hit, it's been kind of a taking action as more and better information comes along.
Okay.
So when the pandemic first hit, we really, I talked about this in another session a long time ago. It's like we really have spent all this money on continuity plans, business continuity plans, pandemic response plans, and it's a lot of money, and it's a lot of work, and it's keeping your systems in place. It's the ability to, if your building catches on fire or blows up, that you can still conduct business somewhere else. And so when the pandemic hit and we made the decision, hey, we don't know what this is all about, a lot of unknowns. How does it spread? Don't know. Best idea is to take everybody, go work at home. And so we did that on the first throes of the pandemic. We got everybody together here and we just made that announcement. And we switched everyone to remote and everybody went to their homes and worked. And did we have a hiccup here and there in terms of connectivity and things like that? Yeah.
How long did that process take to do that switch?
A day.
Wow.
Literally.
Really?
We made an announcement, I believe it was on a Wednesday, and Thursday I can't remember the exact date time, but I want to say it's Wednesday in my mind.
Yeah.
Thursday we're up and running with everybody remote. And to just, again, did we have some people that couldn't connect properly? Sure. But overall, everything worked pretty flawlessly in terms of our systems. Our service scores actually went up during the pandemic.
What do you attribute that to? Side note, because I'm always like wondering, because as a supplier, I'm always like, how do I get these service scores up? So when I hear somebody's got this special formula, I'm like, how did you do it? So
I think it just goes back to the people that we have more than anything, and the breadth of maturity that we had in all of our jobs and people doing those jobs, and they had the ability to be able to go home with minimal direction to understand what they needed to do, but then working in Microsoft Teams and Zoom and all of that kind of crap that everybody's using. I'm sick of Zoom. So glad you're here.
Yeah.
Actually, so we can have a
I think I'm half decent via Zoom, but okay, it's nice to be here too.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's terrific. I mean, we crave interaction, right? So we had the ability to switch like that right away, and I think a lot of it is the people that we had in place doing the jobs. The ability to then go home and still understand what their job requirements were, and then being able to just keep going, and probably at a little slower pace than what we've been used to.
Right.
So I think the attention that people could spend with an individual transferee probably grew a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I think a little more individualized attention happened, but we had a great staff more than anything.
Does some of that come with tenure too? Like having tenured people in place?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's much harder to train a new person in a remote environment.
Yeah.
Just to listen to phone calls and have them on headsets and things of that nature is a little more challenging to do virtually. But
so it takes a day to flip it and go offsite. And in that meantime, by the way, when you did that and you were preparing to kind of come back as well, you guys did some of the most progressive stuff around contact tracing, I think, that I've seen of anybody in the industry. Where you did invest quite a bit, and actually, I think you were on the news or something about it.
We were. Yep.
Did some really cool things with contact. Is that stuff coming into play now, or is it kind of like by the time it's back to normal, it's like, well, we're all vaccinated, so it's like that stuff is not as important.
Yeah. Well, it's stuff that's designed for a hospital. So when a nurse comes into a room or a doctor comes into a room, everybody has a lanyard that they wear a special. It's almost like a beacon. Yeah. And you can't see it, but over our door here is a radio transmitter. And so when I enter the room, if I don't hit the hand sanitizer that's over there that has that same radio beacon, my badge is going to beep. And it's going to know that, hey, I need to sanitize my hands because I didn't do it. And so we were using that initially as everybody came back to work. And we did a staggered back to work where you didn't have to come back to the office, but we put ourselves into two groups. An A and a B group, and that A group could come back to the office Monday through Thursday if they wanted to. They didn't have to. They could still work at home. And then the other group went the next week. And so we were always rotating people in and out of the office, but two different groups.
When did that start? When did you start kind of having more of a critical mass, maybe, or are you even there yet? I mean, it still seems kind of quiet,
It is, and that's why it's still voluntary in terms of what people can do. But we get a lot of people here, more than you think, that come in every other week. So we'll get about a dozen people coming into the office on a given week, sometimes more, sometimes maybe a little less, depending on what they have going on.
So do you foresee a hybrid scenario for a while? And I'm asking these questions because I think we are microcosms of kind of the world of work. And I think the conversations we're having right now are also the conversations that our clients are having and going to be having and continuing to navigate and evolve. So I'm always really interested to understand people's kind of, okay, how do leaders lead through this and hopefully try to extrapolate what our clients might possibly be doing. So do you think hybrid, or is it going to come back full time in office, or how do you foresee that working?
I see it as a hybrid for sure. You know, I'm probably a little more old school in the sense that I like coming to the office and I like being here and I like interacting with people. And I think you lose something if you don't have that interaction. But I think you have to accept the reality that a younger generation, they're juggling more things than they ever had in their lives that maybe we ever did generationally. And so they need and desire and want that additional day at home or 2 or 3 or whatever it may be. And so I think you're going to see the business world doing a hybrid type of sort. And I think that's pretty much what you read across the board. I know Google announced everybody was going to come back, and then Google has now flipped on that as well and said they're going to do a hybrid of sorts. And that's kind of what you think about most companies. You know, it's interesting. Chris and I were in the office, I don't know, a month ago or so, and he just happened to come by my office walking by, and I said, "Hey, Chris." And, you know, we just solved something real quick that, you know, we wouldn't have had that conversation if we weren't together. So I think you need that.
Right. Probably wouldn't have thrown in like a 30-minute Teams meeting, but you needed to hash it out anyway.
Right.
Do you find that more of that collaboration is happening?
I do. Yeah. In person, absolutely. 100%. You know, on the way to work this morning, I heard on the radio that 83% of CEOs that were surveyed wanted full 5-day-a-week work in person environments, and then conversely, 10% of workers.
Ooh, so that sounds like a major disconnect. Yeah. Somebody once described it as a tsunami of turnover coming. Which is interesting. Is that good or bad for our business? I mean, not our business, but our industry, the relocation business, a tsunami of turnover.
I would think the answer is yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. New job, new place.
We want it, but do we want it within our own staff?
No, we want no turnover here. Everybody else quit your jobs and move somewhere, right?
Exactly. And so I think that's why you're going to have to be somewhat flexible. I think it is going to be an employee retention thing that if you tell people 5 days a week in the office, there's going to be people that are just going to revolt about that and just say, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I want to know, everybody out there that's watching right now, I can't guarantee I can read these comments because they're just too far away. But Stacy will pick some and throw them up there. John Habanik says, I think the forward-looking idea of the lanyard beacons was brilliant, gents. Awesome, John. Throw questions up there that you want us to answer as well. Very cool, progressive, and safe. Hi, Paul from Bridget.
Hey, Bridget.
This is cool. Look at this. Hybrid sounds interesting. When we talk of revenge travel, will hybrid really feel acceptable for people busting to get back to normal? Am I reading that right? Revenge travel? Is that what that says?
Yeah.
Given a high degree of safety. Hey, Richard, I don't know what revenge travel is. Is it like bleisure? I don't know. We got new words coming out. I don't know. Maybe somebody on TikTok knows what revenge travel is. This is great. This is a lot of fun. So then let's kind of get to what we all want to know. What do we think our clients are doing when it comes to return to office? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I've heard from a lot of our clients that if they're not already back in person, which some of them are, depending on the industry, that the fall is what
you
we're
said
hearing
depending
from
on the
a lot.
industry. Is this varying a lot based on, and can you give me like an idea of this sector is kind of doing more of this sector is kind of doing more of that? What are you feeling?
I mean, we know pharmaceutical, for example, is something that's been in person for quite some time, given the nature of their business. I think there are, again, certain industries that require kind of, the hands-on in-person approach. Others, largely your tech firms, can go remote And that's why we're seeing like Google and Twitter, and for example, are ones that have said 100% remote moving forward.
It would seem like, I mean, do you see a connection between the the critical jobs, during the pandemic? I mean, they kind of maybe lost less momentum in the office culture thing. They were always there. So, I mean, versus people like tech who, does that make sense? Or like, because you're saying pharmaceutical, I mean, obviously they were front and center through this whole thing.
Yeah, and major issues to solve, right? And so the collaboration that I think needed to happen in certain industries just forced them to have to be in person.
Yeah, and like so what about like food, like the food industry?
It's been a mixed bag. Yeah. And I think even within some companies, some of their departments are like, we know there's one of our clients, a relocation department, they just wanted to be back in the office full time, even though the staff and everybody else is not. But they decided to do their job and to collaborate the way they needed to collaborate, they wanted to be together. And so they made the decision that they're going to be back. And others, we're working remotely and we're doing what everybody, what you kind of hear out there people are doing. So I think it really is varied across the spectrum of our clients in terms of what they're doing and what their requirements are. And I think it even varies by department within the company as well.
Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense.
And state and country regulations. So we're seeing a lot of our European operation centers, they're still, for the most part, locked down. So they're forced to have to go remote still, whereas other places are.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's totally different scenario overseas. Cindy's got a really good question here. Cindy Salter says, if we allow work from home full time, would the company need to tax the individual based on where they are working? Does regional or geographic pay need to be considered?
Yes.
All the above.
Yes, Cindy. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, people. I think we've all written articles or people have spoken about the implications that people are putting on their companies from a tax standpoint when they're working in these places that maybe the company doesn't have any operations, and are they creating a nexus in that area, in that state, for example, or city, county. And so it's a big issue, right? So you can't just say, hey, I'm going to go work in Denver for a while when you don't have offices there. So what's the implication? And so you've got to look into all of that stuff. And so, yeah, that's a big issue. It's a big issue.
Explain the concept of nexus just for people who don't.
I can't tell you that.
Okay. Somebody out there, explain nexus. Explain nexus.
No, you're creating taxable exposure for your company in a state where you don't have any legally running operations, but you have an employee working in that state where the state may say, well, Ben, why are you working in Colorado? You need to start paying us income tax because you're working here. I mean, it's I'm not a tax expert and I know enough to be dangerous over the years, but it's kind of as simple as that. You're creating taxable exposure for your company when you're working in a state where you may not have any operations.
Question for the tax people out there. Am I going to owe Wisconsin state taxes tomorrow? I want to know that. Just let me know.
You haven't been here long enough.
I haven't been there. Okay, good. As long as I get the heck out of here in 3 hours. Jack Jampel, Google will have 20% working from home entirely. 80% will be flex unless something changed from May 5th.
Yes. And they've changed their tune, right, Jack? I mean, initially it was all coming back, you're coming back, and now they've changed their tune.
Yeah, Jill says, I think the relationships and collaboration will suffer if we stay at home full time. There is a need to meet in person in order to get a true feel for your business.
And not only that, Jill, but it's a question of just being together, right? I mean, who loves working on Zoom all day, right? My son's a school teacher. He hasn't taught a single student live this entire year. And he's unhappy. I'm sure his students are unhappy. Not having any physical interaction together it just handicaps you. I mean, you have to have it. You have to get together.
Yeah. Yeah, super interesting. Any other questions out there, Stacy, we want to take real quick? Let's see here. Look at this. People are... Renee from Africa. In discussions in South Africa, we discussed that each work from home actually then means each of those sites' homes becomes satellite offices, which created another cybersecurity risk.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of risks coming in here. Yeah. So then, okay, so we're hearing it's a mixed bag from our clients. How will this impact near term and long term? Because, you know, when I talk to people all the time, and what I hear, and I'd like to, maybe I should really ask the question, is what do you think the long-term impacts of this 14-month experiment is going to be?
Well, I think it's showing companies can have more flexible employees out there working from home, working in the office, and I think there can be flexibility of schedules. And I think you've found companies have been entirely successful with this model. So I think you're going to have differing work environments as we move forward. I don't know what it's doing to kids, quite honestly. And, you know, I talk about my kid being a school teacher and what's happening to that generation of children that are going through school right now. I'm not enough of an expert to know what the implications of that are, but I would say it's probably not great. Although they're learning a new skill in terms of how to work remotely. You know, New York City just came out and said we're never going to have another snow day again. So kids are always going to be in school, right? But I don't know, Ben. It's maybe that question is above my pay.
But it's also happening to all kids uniformly too.
Right.
I mean, I was listening to Malcolm Gladwell's most recent book on the plane, and it talks about war, and it talks about the impact of World War II and things like that. So I mean, these things are happening to everybody at the same time, and I think it does add a lot of skills now. And now we can do things virtually. The question is, do we want to? I mean, that kind of remains to be seen. I think it'd be interesting to see some studies on this stuff long term. But what are you seeing now? Let's talk about short term as far as volumes go, as far as relocation volumes. What have you guys seen so far, maybe the last couple of months, and what do you expect to see?
I think it's starting to get back to normal. It was obviously 2020 was much slower, about for us 25 to 30% slower than usual, but it's starting to started the second quarter here, we really started to see it ramp up, and then we're hearing that midsummer to fall, we expect it to be in the full throes and probably a pent up demand.
Yeah, I mean, have you let's I'm going to ask you just about April. We got a lot of comments coming in. Keep the comments coming in. We're going to try to get to some of these questions as well. Keep those coming in. Lizzie Beats, I'm sitting in traffic right now. No one is working from home in Chicago.
True.
Jag, my point was that Google's 20% is not that much greater than the industry average of 18% before COVID. Flex will increase, but remote entirely, in my opinion, will not significantly increase. As Jack says that from his office on the Jersey Shore. I mean, I think the thing is, though, work from home has been a trend that's been increasing since the 90s.
I do worry from a certain standpoint, though, that people don't unplug enough. Commuting back and forth to the office at least gives you some time to decompress and to spend a few minutes away from your PC, from answering email, from the rest. And I think a lot of what we've experienced, at least our operational department, is they're always working nonstop, and at a certain point that becomes unhealthy, right? You need the opportunity to decompress, and people like to use the term work-life balance, work-home balance, but it's so easy to answer emails on the weekends and to plug in when you're always.
Yeah, I mean, it creates that buffer, that real buffer, that 30-minute, 15, 30, 45, whatever your commute is, buffer for when you go from this environment to home environment. And I don't know about you, but I've got small children, so I need to be dad by the time I get home, but I need 30 minutes to go from being, a work guy to, dad guy. So yeah, that's real. So going back to the idea of what is going to happen near term with volumes, you're talking about pent-up demand. Pent-up demand's been the buzzword of the last couple months here. And I think it's we're all clinging to this. We're give me some pent-up demand, What's that arrival pattern looking like for you guys?
I think it's exasperated right now by the standpoint that the housing market is so undersupplied right now that people are still kind of waiting. I'm not going to make my move happen because I don't have a place, or I'm really concerned about finding available housing. So given that flexibility to wait, which a lot of our clients are allowing their transferees to, we'll authorize you now, you get initiated now, but you don't have to move, right away.
So do you think we're not seeing the pent-up demand we would normally see just because of what the housing market's doing?
I think that's part of it, certainly.
Is the pent-up demand pent up?
It is. I mean, I go through our surveys every single week, and I'm starting to see a lot of people saying, you know, one of the questions on some of our surveys, not every client, everyone's different, but, you know, how are you handling the stress of your relocation? And an underlying theme coming across is, I love the company, I love the benefits I'm getting, I'm really happy with the benefits, but I can't find anywhere to live. And so what do I do? And I'm paraphrasing some of the language that comes through, but people don't have anywhere to go. And when you're going to more expensive cities in particular, where people are bidding on 10 houses and not getting them, they're exasperated. And so I think there is pent up demand, and we have a lot of clients that have a lot of people in the queue to transfer, but finding a place that they're going to be happy and going to is very, very difficult right now.
So what are they doing? I mean, I just moved recently. I mean, I kind of went through that all it was kind of lateral from a cost of living, cost of living. But what are your transferee? What are you seeing them do? What kind of decisions are they doing, and how is it maybe different from what we normally see them do?
Well, I think from what we've experienced, a lot of transferees are keeping the family behind for a period of time, and they're staying in temporary quarters, you know, temp housing, et cetera, and just kind of, you know, beginning that search process. But that's a huge issue for anybody moving today, whether it's within the United States or globally. That's a phenomenon that's we're seeing across a lot of different countries as well.
Yeah, so I think there is a lot of pent up demand and a lot of people that are in the queue to move, but they're really struggling to find somewhere to move to.
Richard has a question. Will people be slow getting back to the office because there's no Wild Turkey 101 in the stationery cupboard? Are we going to see a change in company cultures coming out of this? Is it going to be more relaxed in the office? It may not be Wild Turkey 101 3 p.m., but is it going to be more casual attire? I mean, are we going to ever put real pants back on?
I think organizations are going to have to look creatively at making the office environment more attractive, because people have been used to a lot of the perks that they get with working from home. So, you know, we're thinking about.
Are they going to use alcohol to make it more attractive?
Maybe not quite the
okay, not
style,
that far. Yeah, we're not going to go. The pendulum is not swinging all the way back.
Not quite,
Richard. But I mean, I mean, we're kidding. I'm joking. But I mean, what types of changes and concessions do you see being made, if any, Paul? I mean,
for our people in particular.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, also just sure.
So we've talked a lot about that. You know, we're a mid-sized company, right? So, you know, having about 70 people or so in our company, and it's like, how do you instill the culture that we want instilled in our people to provide the kind of service that we want to give them? And how do we make them, you know, from our perspective, deliver our services the way we want them delivered, and so they understand our culture and the service excellence that we create here. So how do you do that without having people here? And how do you instill that? So I have a couple of new guys started about a month ago, and they've been here every day, and I've pretty much been here every day, and it's great that we're getting together, but they're just desperate to see people. It's like, because Paul, you're telling me about all these people that are providing this great service, but where are they?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
you tell me how much fun it is to work in relocation, and how the service provider is such a great community and all that.
Yeah, and you know, and they're desperate just to see those people, learn from those people. And, you know, we've talked about this a lot, is when you have somebody new, they've got to learn from the people that have been here for a while. I want to say old people, but they're not old. But, you know, if you get a transferee that's blowing up on the phone, you know, a seasoned counselor, how they handle that phone call, how they calm that person and, you know, walk them off the edge a little bit, and how they convert that. And I'm sure everybody goes through this in our industry, you know, but to hear a seasoned professional do that, and have a new person not getting the benefit of that conversation and hearing it is a real problem.
Yeah, I mean, I started off my career in call centers, right? And so you'd have just a room full of people doing customer service, right? And as soon as somebody got start blowing you up. Oh, ma'am, sir, please hold. The hand goes up. I got a live one over here. What do you do with XYZ problem, right? And then they there's coaching, and then maybe an escalation handoff or whatever.
Yeah.
How do you do that when you're sitting in your living room, somebody's blowing you up, and you don't know what to say or what to do? And
exactly, and so that's what we're trying to balance between. How do we provide flexibility for our employees, but still instill that culture that we want instilled, and also have those newer people learn from the more experienced people, and the more experienced people have to be here so they can impart their knowledge to the newer people. And so, we're grappling with that a little bit right now in terms of how do we do that. And we do want to provide some level of flexibilities for our employees because they're wanting that and they're desiring that. But then also, how do we run our business appropriately, continue the level of service we have as we bring new people into our company and integrate them. One of the things that people will say, well, you have Teams and you can just instant message somebody. I got to tell you, I get a little ticked off though every once in a while when I get an instant message because I'm in the middle of something, I'm talking to somebody, and I get this bing. It's like, now you're bothering me. Come on.
That's how Chris felt when he was walking by, and you was like, hey, Chris, I need something. Just go to the bathroom, Paul. Go back. Karen put something up here. She also seems to resonate with what you were saying, Paul. That is a huge challenge. The consultants not sitting next to each other to learn by listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Denise is over here too saying, let's see here. Sorry, Stacey. Hit me with Denise. Give me Denise. Denise says, mentoring and coaching the new next generation of service teams is critical. Love talking about up and coming mentor programs. This is great. Joe Parteka is so true. It's hard to bounce ideas off of each other via Teams. And Karen's point, ooh, let's all I am Paul. Okay, everybody, if you've got Paul DeBoer's email, send him something right now. Let's see. Johanna says, I'm currently doing an office move gig for a Meditech company, and I was also asked to join the EMEA project group as the Nordics representative for the new way of working, a global project for the company. The plan is to go hybrid for all office-based employees who do not have to be in the office, reception, janitor. Wait, hybrid for a janitor? For the next layer of offices, there will be an app available to book your seat in the office. Okay. This will be in order to make sure that you are seated next to someone from your group. That's interesting, Johanna, because that was something we heard early on where there were mobility teams, but they were offsetting weeks because they wanted coverage, but they couldn't work together because they weren't in the office together. So it's like we're kind of learning how to do this hybrid because what's intuitive isn't always necessarily what works in practice. Fernanda says, Johanna, this kind of app to book seats is already being applied by some companies in Brazil, and apparently it works well.
It's hoteling, right?
Yeah, hoteling, hot desking, for sure. Yeah, so going back to what we expect to happen this summer and beyond, because here we are, it's technically peak season.
Yeah.
Does it feel like peak season?
It does, a little bit. Yeah, not quite like, I think 2018 was the last really crazy peak season, at least for us it was.
It was wild.
It was wild. And I think we're starting to get not quite to those levels, but, we're seeing some carriers start to say, hey, capacity is limited. Certain dates aren't available. We're starting to see some of that return. Which
is it happening earlier than it used to happen in a normal year, like say 19 or 17?
I wouldn't say earlier. I think it's on par.
On par.
Mm-hmm. Which is, I hate to say it's kind of welcome to us, but I mean, it really is.
Is it because demand's higher, or is it because demand's higher, or is it because capacity is constrained? Do you think?
I think capacity is constrained in part because of labor shortages still,
Mm-hmm.
But I also think the volume is starting to become back to normal. At least for us, it is.
Yeah.
So I think it's both. I think a lot of the labor, in particular with household goods, they were laid off in 2020, and they chose not to return back to the moving industry.
Yeah, you give somebody a year off of the moving industry, and good luck.
Right.
Tough
job.
That's like taking a year off from a sports team and then getting back in shape to do that, or even decide, or actually getting a job somewhere else to pay your bills for a year. And then opting in to go move furniture in 90-degree heat. Like, I don't know who would sign back up for that if they had an alternative and everybody was forced to find alternatives. So it's really tough. I get that 100%. Do you think that that the impact of COVID on the supply chain, and we'll just talk moving for now, and I want to talk about other service verticals too, but do you think that this will be a lasting impact?
I hope not. I hope not. I mean, I think moving has been an industry that has, I mean, we started to hear about labor shortages back in 2005.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Ever since I've been in the business, there's been a driver shortage.
Right. So I think it got worse in 2020, clearly, in that labor, like I said, is choosing not to return. I think other verticals, like you said, I think, with temp housing, was a huge challenge with, some folks not making it through 2020. And so, how is the industry going to pick each other up and have that available capacity?
That is a big turkey. Speaking of wild turkey, you guys got a full Tom bird out there. I wish you guys could see this gorgeous specimen out there. Oh my goodness, this is hunting country out here too. I'm surprised that thing's still alive.
That turkey's lucky we have an employee that would have a shotgun out there.
That is a gorgeous Tom turkey there. Anyway, y'all are missing out here. But it's so you mentioned corporate housing, and Cindy, I want to get to your question there too. So let's keep Cindy's question on deck there. But I want to stay here just for a second because you mentioned corporate housing. And it's interesting to me as I'm learning more about corporate housing, because corporate housing also draws from some of the same supply chain. I mean, they use movers also. They have their own delivery trucks, their own drivers, their own warehouses with furniture. I mean, the furniture business has been hit really hard. We're gonna have Barb Hale on to talk about kind of furniture shortages and things like that. I mean, and then the other thing I'm hearing too is that last year, corporate housing companies were stuck with 12-month leases, right, and clients pulled out, and I mean that crushed them. Mm-hmm. And now when they're trying to go back to these property companies to say, all right, I'm back, it's summer, hey, pent up demand, and then the property company's like, hey, no, like we're good, we're all set, we're not doing corporate housing anymore. I mean, I wonder about that. I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
I think the terms are going to change moving forward, and we're starting to see that a little bit, not dramatically, but I think the terms are going to change.
What do you mean when you say the terms? Like, what do you mean?
As far as leasing blocks of units for a long period of time, knowing that you're going to be able to fill those. I think it's more going to be on-demand leases, which is going to cause prices to go up, unfortunately. But that's, I think, going to be the appropriate response.
Do you think that clients will ever guarantee volumes or put some skin in the game with it, whether it be the corporation or the RMC? Do you think that they'll ever say, hey, we need you to invest in this property confidently, and we're willing to guarantee that we're going to rent it for 12 months or 6 or something?
Yeah, we've had clients do that before, actually. And I think they would be open to doing that again, especially in markets where temp housing is very difficult to find. The temp housing thing's a dual-edged sword too. I think you're right. I think there are some people really struggled in the temp housing business, but then I heard of other folks that really kind of flipped the switch a little bit and they went after different markets. And so if you think of the healthcare professionals that were having to work, massive shifts with COVID and all the hospitalization rates. So I know Sweet Home, for example, in Chicago switched over to, making their units available for healthcare workers, which was really smart. And not to say they didn't struggle and didn't have.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I'm staying at one of Jen's places tomorrow, shout out to Jen Breen at Sweet Home, but she was telling me just last week, I mean, it was a tough year.
Yeah, very, very tough. And, kudos to her for, getting through it all. And it's been tough for them. But, we do have clients that have booked units and set them for 12 months at a time. We've talked, it's funny, we've even talked about building units in places where we have demand.
Wow.
And we just can't fill the demand in some places. We have clients in, just an hour north of here, which you think is rural Wisconsin. It's almost impossible to find temp housing.
Wow. So what do? Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, one of the things that we make sure we talk to all of our clients and really try to forecast what volume is going to look like over the next 6 to 12 months. And that's not for our own, purposes. I mean, it partly is, but for the most part, it's to reserve capacity with our supply chain.
Yeah.
So that, organizations that are smaller than us that really rely on that volume kind of have the luxury of being able to plan. Because we try to reserve capacity in most places where we're able to.
Yeah. Awesome. This is really interesting. Cindy has a question. Cindy, great questions today. What are the top 5? Cindy, come on now. We got top 5s of our own already here, Cindy. Top 5. What are your top 5 ideas to develop or retain your company's culture when you are in a work from home environment, full or part time?
I hope you're not asking me, Cindy.
Hey, you're the president. I mean, who else is going to know? All right, how about this?
It's really tough. I mean, that's why I think you have to have a hybrid environment. So you can bring people to the office and you can instill your culture. Cindy, I don't know how you do it if everybody's remote. I really don't. I mean, you can do it for a period of time, right? And I think everyone in corporate America has probably done it. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but overall, majority speaking, people have done it in a positive way, and they've instilled their culture and they've made the money that they need to make, and they've done well, right? But that's a mature workforce that they had, right? And now all of a sudden, people are going to quit. People are going to change jobs. You're going to bring in new people. And so I don't know how you create a culture and what you want to do as a company if everybody's working from home. I don't know how you do that. And I'd be interested in hearing other people's responses, because I just don't. I think you have to have people together to a degree.
I think you got to be really intentional about, during the work from home environment, you have to be intentional about scheduling things like employee happy hours. To make sure that you're doing a certain amount of socializing, even if people kind of roll their eyes from time to time at that idea. We also started to do bios of everybody so that new people and especially our foreign offices can go to our shared intranet and, read about, personal bios from everybody in the organization, the pets and the families and all that other stuff. I mean, and you have to have kind of the, forced fun, so to speak, but otherwise, I think people get in their operating mode where they're just working on their cases and not socializing with their coworkers, because when you talk about culture, a lot of it has to do with getting to know your teammates and being able to want to go to bat for them when, they need help or whatever the case may be.
And that's why I think I'm sorry, Ben, but I think that's why it worked okay for a while, right? But who wants to go on a Zoom happy hour now, right?
It's crazy, right? There was like 3 a day, and then nobody does them anymore.
Well, that's because everybody's sick of being on Zoom all day long.
I do one Zoom happy hour. Shout out to Lisa Fontana. She does a great Zoom happy hour. I've seen some of your sales guys on there. It's great. Best Zoom happy hour in the business, in my opinion. Don't everybody go join it because then it'll get terrible. But no, you're right. It was all the rage, and nobody did it. Now, I will tell you this. I got a couple of things I've been impressed with, and I liked your idea with the bios too, Chris. And I like the comparison you kind of drew with. I mean, there's multinational companies who have offices in the U.S. and offices in France, and they never presumably meet or talk much, or whatever. They don't have the same in the office camaraderie. So I think that's interesting to look at that and say, well, how does a company like that instill a culture? I think that's interesting. And then the other things, I've seen 2 companies do some things that I thought were really interesting. Shout out to Ben Heller over at Price Point. I know that they get together every time they have a big win as a company. They get together on a Zoom. Sorry, Paul, on a Zoom. They do a little Don Julio toast, and they kind of celebrate the win. And it's their way to kind of come together and celebrate the wins together. The other one, Alta Vita, my client, they have a virtual office on Wonder where everybody kind of goes in and kind of hangs out. You're not on screen with people, but you can kind of go over into their proximity virtually. And now we're having a chat, but if I pull away, I'm not having somebody stare in my face the whole time. So I can kind of go over to you and tap you and say, hey, Chris, check this out. What do you think? So I've seen 2 of those things, which I think are interesting. But there's there's a lot of reliance on tools. Cindy says, I think there are a few RMCs that are closing offices and going 100% work from home to save costs. How do you explain your training culture continuity plan in a response to an RFP? Oh, wow. I think that's a rhetorical question, Cindy, but
training is one of the most difficult things to do, in my opinion, to do in a virtual environment. We've done things like, you record your screen and you do all these video libraries of task-based syllabuses. And I think that's one way to do it, but you don't, to Paul's earlier point, you don't really replace the give and take that you're getting from troubleshooting together and really walking somebody through. Here's the what's or the whys behind the what's.
The whys behind the what's. Look at this. This guy's pedagogy guy. Okay, great. Let's see, Janet, Ben, we are needing to get you some glasses. I believe you're getting close to 40. And Janet, you were getting further away. Love you, Janet. I just had to give it back to you, girl. Richard, big move in the UK from corporates to contractors, construction, and health workers during COVID, only just returning now. Yeah. Let's see here. Janet's impressed by the fact that you have a child old enough to teach other children. Yeah, very good. Everybody's thinking that, Paul. You are. How do you stay so young, Paul?
Vampire.
He's a vampire. Oh, this is great. Today, create a competitive edge. So today we've got 2 guests and we're live. And I want to have some fun because we're in person, right? We're in person?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay. We're in person, and I want to have some fun. Paul's like, this guy's an idiot. Okay, so today we're going to do 2 top 5s, okay? It's almost like a top 10. We're going to do 2 top 5s, and it's going to be fun.
Okay.
Fun is the theme because now we're back here. It's spring. We're in person. I'm just feeling it. You guys feeling it? Okay. It's just me. It's fine. Okay. All right, so top 5. You know what? We got 2. You know what? I'm in Milwaukee.
Yes.
I just realized today I flew into the Milwaukee airport for the first time. Got a shoe shine. Shout out to Sheldon out there. Told him I'd shout him out. He needs the business. Get some shoe shines, everybody. Tip your shoe shine. You got a top 5 today?
I do.
Chris?
Yeah, top 5 things to do in Milwaukee.
Yes! I'm here. Let's do it. Top 5 things to do in Milwaukee. All right, what's number 5, Chris?
Number 5 is do the Harley Davidson Museum.
Ooh,
it's a lot of fun. There's really cool bikes, both old and new. It's a fantastic museum. Totally recommend it. We did it for a client event years ago, and great feedback, and it's fantastic.
It was. I was at that event, and there was a scavenger hunt,
Yes.
which was a blast.
Yeah.
There you go.
And they're making electric bikes now.
Harley's making electric motorcycles?
No, electric bikes.
Oh, bikes.
Bicycles.
Okay.
Yeah, they're awesome.
All the rage.
Nice. So I don't have to pedal or nothing.
Right?
I like it.
But you can pedal.
I can pedal optional.
And you can get up to like 30 miles per hour too.
So I'll tell my wife I pedaled, and I will not pedal, and I will get there anyway. Okay. Number 4.
Do some brewery tours. We have a lot of great breweries here, both large and small, and you can do about 5, all within about a 5-mile radius of downtown. So
beautiful.
Yeah, pick a couple or do them all.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Favorite area beer?
I like Sprecher. Yeah, Sprecher's fantastic. MKE's not bad either.
You got a dog in this fight?
I don't.
Favorite
I don't.
local beer? Okay.
I don't.
All right, breweries. Okay, we'll do it. Number 3.
Do Summerfest if you can during that time of year. Largest music festival in the world.
Yep.
Largest music festival in the world in Milwaukee?
In Milwaukee. Yeah.
It's right on the
You gotta
lake.
come
It's right
back
on Lake
in,
Michigan. It's
July.
beautiful.
In July?
In July.
It's
Nice.
in September this year.
That's
Yeah.
right. It is in September this year.
I'll stay at a place in Germantown. They got one available, I think, in July. All right, number 2.
Tour our historic Third Ward. So lots of pubs, lots of restaurants, lots of shops. You can walk it. It's on the river. It's fantastic.
Nice. All right. I like historic tours.
It's really nice.
Yeah. Is that near where? Is that near that hotel?
Yes,
yes.
That is in the Third Ward.
Okay. All right. I dig it. I like it. All right. Number 1.
Catch a Bucks or a Brewers game.
Nice. Which is better, Bucks or Brewers game?
Depends on who's better.
Okay. All right.
No, it's a lot of fun.
That Brewer Stadium looks fun. That's the one with the slide?
Yes. Tailgating is fantastic with baseball here, football as well, but baseball, a lot of tailgating goes on. Not so much for the Bucks games because largely it's in wintertime. It's cold here in the winter. But the Bucks
sucks in the winter.
Yeah.
I've tailgated a Minnesota Vikings game in December. So yeah, I know what you mean. It was a night game. Yeah, I get it.
And the Brewers is great because the roof closes.
Oh, nice.
So great venues.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Well, we'll try to do one of those. Paul, you got a top 5?
I didn't until I was in here about a minute before we started this.
Don't reveal the mystery here, Paul. Okay, people think we plan for these shows. Like, Ben, how do you do this all the time? I make it up as I go along.
When we were talking before we started that we were doing an improv, and then you said, "Oh, what's that improv group in Chicago?" I'm from Chicago, and I said Second City. He goes, "Oh, who's your favorite Second City?" And I threw off a couple of names. And who did you? I said they all started Saturday Night Live. And what did you say?
You said they were all the original cast, and I started making like Amy Poehler and Tina Fey references, and he's like the original cast, man. And I was like, okay, Paul.
Yeah.
So, Paul, you got a top 5 Second City cast for us?
Not really, but I threw some names out.
Let's do it.
Lorraine Newman. I think she was part of the original Second City cast that went to Saturday Night Live.
Do you know who? Okay, stop. Do you know who Lorraine Newman is? No, me either.
You guys don't
Put in the comments. Is it Bob Newman's? No. Is that even the right?
Lorraine Newman.
No.
Saturday Night
I got
Live.
nothing. Put a link in there, please. Can somebody please educate me with a link? Lorraine Newman. Karen gets it. Bob Newhart. Paul Newman. Paul Newman. I don't know my news. Paul Newman?
All right.
Lorraine.
Gilda Radner?
Get over here. Gilda Radner. Okay.
Gilda Radner?
I know of Gilda Radner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of her partner, the Loopners, Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. Got it. Okay.
Right.
Bill Murray. Real quick while we're here, because we do have an hour show, we got 9 minutes, so it stretches out just a second. In the comments, favorite Bill Murray movie. Not named Caddyshack.
Oh.
Not named Caddyshack.
And I don't think he was an original cast member. I think he came in the second year. And then Dan Aykroyd. You know Dan Aykroyd?
I do know Dan Aykroyd. Yes, not personally, but yes, I know of Dan Aykroyd.
And number 1, who would you think?
Jim Belushi.
John Belushi.
Oh, wrong Belushi. I'm over here trying to stare at his notes. I'm trying to prep. This is prep. Stare at notes. That's how I got through college. No, yeah. So I mean, that's okay. So
who did a very famous scene in Saturday Night Live where he went to visit the graves of all the cast members, and it turned out he's the first one to pass away.
And was he?
Yeah.
That's morbid.
Yeah. Sorry.
This is great. Vinny Valverde says Ghostbusters. That's what you said, right, Chris? Ghostbusters, favorite Bill Murray movie. We got a Jane Curtis.
There you go, Jane Curtin.
Sorry, can't read. Janet.
Karen and I should have done this one together.
Karen, can you please dial in and finish the show off with Paul, please? Paul needs somebody that gets him over here. No, this is great. This has been a lot of fun. I'm super stoked that we're here in person. And now that we have 5 things to go do here.
Oh my God.
What is this?
Bridget.
OMG, I feel so old that Ben doesn't know most of these numbers. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. Usually I can research these things maybe and just kind of pretend and Wikipedia it. Karen's having a great time. Hey, everybody, this is awesome. Hit that like button. Give us a virtual round of applause to Paul and to Chris. We had a lot of fun today. Yeah. We did this live in person, which was new for me and for them. So this is really cool. We're going to be doing live interviews all week this week. We're going to be in Chicago talking to John Zilka tomorrow. We're going to be in Dallas. I got Jose Abatley from Reversal Global Relocations on Thursday. And we are going to have a takeover show on Wednesday with Chuck White, the president of International Association of Movers, and Brian Limperopoulos on Wednesday. That's going to be awesome. They're going to be giving away $10,000 in scholarships.
Well,
and not only can you use it for your college or your kid's college? You got a kid going to college, don't you?
Yeah.
Get some. All right,
Yeah.
let's go. But you can also use it to get that GMS your boss didn't want to pay for. So go ahead and apply for that. It's the Alan F. Wolstetter Fund. I think he was an original member of Saturday Night Live. I don't know. Karen is having a blast here. Karen's great show. This is great. Love it. Stacy's digging the live format. Appreciate y'all as well. Also, I think we have a few more, real quick, since we have just a minute, we have a few more Move for Hunger, mugs, tumblers. I never like that word, tumbler. Anyway, tumblers, steel, vacuum steel tumblers. Go ahead and get those as well. It's down at the bottom, moveforhunger.org/tumbler. Check that out. All proceeds, the whole revenue goes to Move for Hunger. So that's awesome. Thanks for everybody that's got those. Miranda checking in. Jill, I'm going to ask you guys real quick here. Final thoughts today.
I just want to thank you for coming in, Ben. I think it's great to be able to get back together and have a live conversation and actually do it face to face versus over the Zoom and kind of just reconnect and get to know each other again. So I think it's great. I really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, man. This is really cool.
Yeah.
Feels good. Feels like home, He's kind of like bumping me earlier, and I'm like, hey, it's kind of nice to be bumped, It's kind of nice to get a little elbowing,
Right.
What about you, Chris? Anything we should be thinking about going into peak?
Just plan, talk to your clients and try to reserve as much capacity as you can because our supply chain needs it. Yeah.
Yeah. Fail to plan, you plan to fail. That's what my granddaddy told me. You like that?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's my word there. Hey, everybody, take care. Have a wonderful day, and we will see y'all tomorrow. Same time.